Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. My name is Sylah. After seeing my Scholar Guide do so well and after having multiple requests on stream, I've decided to get up and off my lazy arse and finally decided to create the introduction to the Astrologian. Although I don't play Astro as much as Scholar, it used to be my main healer and a go-to for the start of Shadowbringers. Just like my Scholar Guide, you can find in the description I will be going over the very basics of the Astrologian, their healing, damage abilities, and running off with a general overview of the class. To unlock the Astrologian, you will need to complete the A Realm Reborn main scenario, gain access to Ishgard, and talk to Janny Kuerd in the Pillars of Ishgard. First thing to mention about the Astrologian, unlike their White Mage and Scholar counterparts, Astrologian starts at level 30 and does not have a base class. Currently in Shadowbringers, again, unlike their White Mage and Scholar counterparts, Astrologian is not a true regen or barrier healer. Instead, they rely on their two sects to augment their aspected abilities into either regen or barrier effects, meaning they can be partnered with either a White Mage or Scholar, even double Astro, although I don't recommend this at all. At first glance, Astrologian looks very intimidating, but don't worry, it gets really easy to understand once you know what each of their skills do. Let's begin with the healing abilities. As stated earlier, Astro starts at level 30, but I will go over the basic healing skills in case you're synced below this level. Benefic is our primary heal, costing 400 MP and healing for 400 potency. At 36, Benefic has a chance to cause the next Benefic 2 to crit. We'll talk about that in a moment. Helios is our basic primary heal, which costs 700 MP and heals for 330 potency. Essential Dignity is our lovely oh shit button. ED has a variable potency. At 100% HP, it will heal for 400 potency. At 50%, it will heal for 704 potency. And at 1 HP, it will heal for a whopping 1100 potency. And Benefic 2, our longer casted bigger heal. Unlike Benefic 1, it costs nearly double the MP, but also heals nearly double. It's unwise to spam this, but you may need to depending on cooldown usage. As discussed earlier, Benefic 1 has a 15% chance to make Benefic 2 a guaranteed crit. You may have noticed that I've left out quite a few abilities. These are the aspected abilities which are learned early on, but I did want to tie them into the sects that Astrologian uses, which we'll discuss right now. Astrologians have two sects. We can consider them as stances. They're called Diurnal and Nocturnal Sect. Diurnal Sect, which is learned immediately, causes your aspected Benefic, which is an instant single target heal, aspected Helios, which is an augmented version of our normal Helios, and Celestial Opposition, which is an off-global cooldown AoE heal, to apply a regen effect. This will tick every 3 seconds and varies depending on the spell casted. It also causes Celestial Intersection to apply a shield called Nocturnal Intersection, creating a shield for 200% of the value healed. A Nocturnal Sect, which causes the previously mentioned skills to apply a shield for varying amounts. Nocturnal Sect also causes Celestial Intersection to apply a regen effect called Diurnal Intersection, which heals for 150 potency per tick. Another skill that is affected by our sects is called Collective Unconscious, which will grant a buff called Wheel of Fortune Nocturnal. This reduces damage by 10% and also apply Wheel of Fortune Diurnal, which is a regen effect for 100 potency over 18 seconds. While maintaining Collective Unconscious, both buffs will be active. However, when cancelled, the buff pertaining to your sect will remain and the other will fade. So if you're in Diurnal, only the Diurnal buff will stay and vice versa. Right, now I'm going to cover the main cooldowns which are used during raids and dungeons. I'll cover these quickly as we're going to spend a large portion speaking about the card and Arcana system. We'll talk about that just a little bit down the line. Lightspeed reduces the cast time of all of our abilities by 2.5 seconds, making most of them instant. Sinistry applies a buff which will replicate 40% of the healing done to that target. What isn't mentioned in the tooltip is that if you cast Sinistry on your main target, they will receive an additional 40% healing. Earthly Star, which places an AoE on the ground that will persist for 20 seconds. When reactivated, it will explode, dealing damage to all enemies in the area and heal for 540 potency. After 10 seconds without being reactivated, Earthly Star will grow in power, dealing more damage and healing for 720 potency. Horoscope is an off-global cooldown buff that when reactivated will heal for 200 potency. When Horoscope is reactivated or expires, If you use Horoscope and then cast Helios or Aspected Helios, the potency is increased to 400. Finally, Neutral Sect, which increases healing potency by 20% and causes our Aspected abilities to apply both diurnal and nocturnal effects. For damaging abilities, there isn't really much to cover. Malefic 4 is our normal casted spell when we have some downtime, Combust 3 is our dot that we should maintain on targets, and Gravity is our AoE spell. There's not really much more that I can discuss in this part. And now we're at the part that many of you have probably been waiting for, the cards in Arcanum. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible as Astro is already very complex on the surface. Astro has 6 basic cards which can be split up into melee and range cards. The melee cards are the Balance, the Arrow, and the Spear, and they'll be casted on either the tanks or the melee DPS. The other 3 are called the Bull, the Ewer, and the Spire. They would be casted on the healer, either ourselves or our partner, or range damage dealers. Now this also includes physical range, please bear in mind there is no difference between them. We also have 2 enhanced cards called Lord of Crowns and Lady of Crowns. Lord is used on melee, Lady is used on ranged. When you use Draw, you'll gain 800 MP and draw one of the 6 basic cards. After this we have 3 choices. One is to use Play, which will play the card itself and grant the buff to the player. The second is to redraw to obtain a different card. We would normally use this if we wanted to obtain a different seal, don't worry, we'll talk about seals very shortly. Or to use Minor Arcana to change the card to Lord or Lady of the Crowns. Another draw skill we have is called Sleeve Draw. This works similar to Draw, however it will prioritise a seal that you don't already have in your Arcanum. In English, if you have a solar seal, it won't draw another solar card, etc. Now as I've hinted to this subject already, you may notice those little signs above the cards. These are the seals which we use to activate our big party buff, Divination. We ideally want to obtain 3 different seals before using Divination for the biggest effect. The seals are Solar, Lunar, and Celestial. When we have 3 seals, if all of them are the same, Divination will increase the party damage by 4%. If 2 is the same and 1 is different, it will be 5%. And if 3 seals are different, it would be 6%. Now we've went over the abilities and cards, let's just have a brief overview. At the start of every instance, select your sect of choice. Although Diurnal is preferred in raiding, Nocturnal works perfectly fine, it's just a playstyle choice. Before every pull, ideally use Aspected Benefic to apply a sect effect. Keep drawing cooldown, make sure you're playing every card you gain. Whether you want to play that card or redraw is dependent on the seals you already have. For example, if you draw a solar card when you already have a solar seal, try redraw it. If RNG is not on your side, just enhance it with Minor Arcana. Use Sleeve Draw and cooldown to obtain fast divinations or to fire out some more card buffs. Use Horoscope for some quick AoE healing or to enhance it with Helios for a big heal. And as much as I keep forgetting this, and you've probably seen examples of this in the background footage, keep Earthly Star on cooldown. The healing and damage it does really adds up when you use it every chance you can. Make sure your off-global cooldown heals like Celestial Opposition, Celestial Intersection, Essential Dignity are used just to save your MP bar. Lightspeed can be used to weave in off-global cooldown abilities or to fire out some emergency healing with Benefic or Benefic 2. And as always, use Malefic 4 when you have some downtime, keep Combust 3 on the target, and use Gravity in AoE packs. Normally at this stage, just like I did in my Scholar video, I would cover the playstyle in dungeons from 50 and above. However, I feel that Astro's playstyle really doesn't change from 30, bar using some extra cooldowns. Since Astro can be a regen or barrier healer, the playstyle does differ in the way you use Aspected Benefic. I do want to mention there's a few tricks that I picked up, especially when utilising Diurnal Sect, which is called Hot Layering. This trick isn't really mana efficient, but the healing over time, in my mind, makes up for it. Using Aspected Helios followed directly by an Aspected Benefic just for some nice regen healing. I would also like to mention Collective Cancelling. This is when we use Collective Unconscious and then cancel it by either moving or using another ability. It can be seen as a bit wasteful, but it will keep the regen effect from Diurnal ticking or the damage reduction from Nocturnal. Overall, Astro is a really fun class with a fair share of complexities. I would happily take an Astro into all of my raid groups for the utility it provides. And there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed my introduction to the Astrologian. I'll probably need to remake this one coming into Endwalkers because, unfortunately, or fortunately more like, Astro is being heavily reworked into a full regen healer. Yay. I do stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday at twitch.tv/Sylah Umehara at 6 PM UK time onwards. Feel free to ask any questions or tag along for some fun. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing. It's free, and if you change your mind, you can unsub later. If you guys didn't like the video, please leave a dislike and let me know where I can improve. And until next time guys, see you around. Peace.
Those hands and lights can't stop me. I just hold on for dear life. Yeah, I can't give up this feeling that I get when looking down from the sky. When I'm with you, when I'm with you.